Norse mythology, the creation myth, aka Odin thought things were a bit too mellow and spiced things up with murder. Can't tell, but I'm doing jazz hands. At the beginning, there wasn't much of anything. There were two planets, Niflheim and Muspelheim. In between the two, there was the void, the Gnung Gap. I am not sorry for pronouncing any of these names wrong. Anyway, Muspelheim was overall just hot. It was an oven, the floor was lava, it was a seat buckle on a hot summer day. Any sort of description you want, just remember it was really, really hot. Sparks flew from its surface, and it was a miracle that life existed there, which somehow it did. Standing on their surface was Surtur, with a flaming sword in his hands. Way later on, he's going to use it to totally mess up the gods' vibe. Why did we write this in the script? Gosh. Anyway, where did he come from? Telling only 5 business days. You might expect that Niflheim was the opposite of that. It's never really described as cold, but not hot either. It's just misty. On the surface of Niflheim, there are 9 rivers, all flowing from this one well. I'm not pronouncing that. How do you Virgil? That thing. Anyway, these rivers float into the Gnunga Gap. How does that work with gravity? I don't know. Anyway, in the absence of any heat whatsoever, they froze into an ice wall until they got to the flaming ball of heat that is Muspelheim. That is, once the ice managed to get over to that side, things started to get a little bit wet. The ice melted. As it dripped away, slowly collected into the shape of a giant dude. We got our first humanoid. His name is Ymir. Also, he's evil, because he was. Vikings don't need things such as reasons. Okay, well, that was a trip. I'm sure nothing can be as weird as that. Magic space cow. Okay, magic space cow. Via the same process as Ymir, a cow appears. A giant magic space cow. What is this? What is this mythology? Gosh. Anyway, Ymir and eventually the rest of the things that live in the void, because apparently there are other things here now, feed off its milk. One day, Ymir fell asleep, and when he woke back up again, there were people hanging out underneath his arms and feet. These armed children were called frost giants, and they play a pretty major role in the story a bit later on. Okay, but can you, just imagine that? You fall asleep, but when you wake up, they're just fully formed, significantly smaller than you are people under your limbs. Seriously? What? Okay, anyway, back to the cow. Unable to drink its own milk, it licks salt rocks for sustenance. Not very appetizing, but it's gotta eat. Guess the cow was feeling a little artistic today, but it decided to lick the salt into a carving. A few days later, that must have been a big rock, but we have another humanoid. Bure, the first of what we call Aesir. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Norse names are hard. He's a god, though. While this one technically wasn't a god, he was Odin's grandpa, so he gets an honorable mention. And then some time passed. He has a child, that child has a child, and we get to our main characters, Ve, Vili, and Odin. Guess it got pretty boring there, because, it's a void. What do you do there? So they decide to spice things up with a bit of good old murder. And yeah, they killed Ymir. The blood from his wounds managed to drown most of the armed children, with only 1 or 2 managing to escape on a ship. And the 3 brothers created Earth from his flesh. And his bones were the rocks, skull was the sky, and the rivers, oceans, and lakes were his blood. It's kind of dark. I guess he also fastened his brain into clouds, too, so. And also, Vikings aren't flat earthers. That brings into question the geography of the 9 realms even more. What? What is this? On the other side of the world live the descendants of the 1-foot child that got away, basically in exile. Hey, you know what they say. What? Revenge is best served frosted. Yeah, the frost giants weren't exactly happy about their frick. They weren't. What? Progenitor? Who put this in the script? I can't pronounce these words. Jeez. Anyway, their newfound rage, they decided to attack the Aesir by going to the other side of the world to where they were. Odin, being really smart, and the smartest Aesir, decided that the best way to deal with this problem would be not be apologizing, but to build a wall out of Ymir's eyebrows, which fixed the problem. Also, they're mad about you killing Ymir, and you just block him out with Ymir's dead body. Insult to injury. Anyway, with that problem solved, the Aesir lived in Midgard happily ever after, except for one thing. Space between Ymir's eyebrows was kind of empty and very boring, just like Nebraska, or Kansas, or any of the middle states. Anyway, they went out and walked to the beach until they came across 2 pieces of driftwood, and they had the bright idea to take a page from the cow's book and carve the wood into people. That would probably solve their boredom. And so, they carved the wood into the shapes of people, Vili gave them reason, and Odin gave them their life. So we got guys. Hooray. After committing life. Okay. Odin, Vili, and Ve came to the sudden realization they were homeless, along with the rest of the Aesir. After a bit more wandering, they went to the center of Midgard and made Asgard, a home of the gods. They also constructed a throne, uh, uh, why is there a J in there? Because they have their priorities in order, of course. Odin called dibs. When he sits on the throne, he can see everything. Literally everything that happens, wherever. Odin also has a wife called Frigg, and every god is descended from them. All of them. Which most of the gods seem to be paired up in the couples, so. Sweet home Alabama! God, what is this video? Anyway. Odin also has another wife. Great. Called Jord, who's the mother of Thor. Well, anyways, that's why Odin is called the Allfather. He's the father of humanity and all gods. There are also 2 siblings called Sun and Moon. The Aesir, the salty, literally, beings that they are, took offense to this. See, the Sun and Moon had already been created from stray sparks from Muspelheim, and they thought it was pretty arrogant to name your kid after them. So they took them to Asgard, and they made Sun drive the chariots that pulled the sun, and they made Moon control the waxing and waning of the moon. The gods at this point have realized that going from back and forth from the sky back to Asgard is pretty inconvenient, because, like, they're pretty far. So they built something called the Bifrost, a rainbow bridge. It's called that because it's Rainbow Road from Mario Kart. And that's it. That is the Norse creation myth. What just happened? That felt like a fever dream.